the conflict is coming.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time, because now you have allowed me to create these expectations that this is who you are and this is who you're going to be.
Ooh, this is good.
And now you and shift it and flip the script on me. And so now I am fighting for what I used to have. And now that I don't have it anymore, if it was a good thing.
Which is why we've learned now to say that the way most people date is just fool's gold.
It's fool's gold, because that is not something that most people are willing to keep up.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Yeah. And so then the pain, the sadness, the expectations, and then you start having these thoughts and you're starting to store stuff and you're starting to compartmentalize things. And now you're like, not the same, and to a point where you eventually talk yourself out of not the same.
That never moves. This is how we learn what real love proves. Next level marriage podcast. We're calling you to something deeper, something pure and true. Male and female, just the way he plays.
Welcome to the Next Level Marriage Podcast. I am one half of your dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Bird, and my lovely wife, she goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Bird.
And together we are
the Lovebirds.
Welcome to another episode. You know what I'm about to say. Please like, please subscribe. Too many people are, I'm going to say too many, but there are many of you that are watching and not subscribing. And I know that happens on most podcasts, but it doesn't have to happen on ours. So just please hit the button that says subscribe. You'll be doing us a solid. And share the podcast. How are you doing today, Miss Sweet Lady?
It's been a busy day.
Been a busy day.
Yeah, but it's all
I guess
good.
You got an announcement then about what you've been doing, and someplace else maybe they can view the podcast.
Oh yeah,
You just been busy and just didn't realize what you were doing, busy for.
Yeah, it takes a lot, you know. So now we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and it's fabulous. And so we're getting out there, y'all.
So those that don't watch on YouTube, you have other methods to be able to watch us.
Yeah.
All right. Ready to get into some content today?
I am.
All right. So, we've been talking about things that you wish you knew before you said I do. And, of course, we say it all the time. Singles, you're in a great place because you get to learn these things before you actually go down the aisle.
Yeah. If I was a single person, I would look at this podcast. It was created for me more so than married folks.
Yeah.
Because I get to not walk down the road that they did if I take the advice and apply it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and if I was a married person, I look at this podcast like this podcast is for me because I didn't know these things and I need to know these things to help my marriage get better. So we just gave you reasons why.
Yeah, don't nobody know. No, I'm just like.
Whether you're single or married, that you should be able to watch it.
Yeah, for real. For real.
So, things that you wish you knew. So today, we're going to talk about conflict, okay? And we're going to talk about 5 things that conflict says about your relationship, okay? And, conflict becomes, I'm talking when conflict becomes consistent. And that's in a lot of people's relationship. When conflict becomes consistent, it's usually saying more about something underneath the surface than what you know or what you think. And so we're going to talk about some of those things today.
Okay. And answer some other questions as you put them out there.
Yeah. And so before we go down the list of the 5 things that we're going to share, why don't you type into the chat what you think conflict says about your relationship and see if you catch some of the things that we're going to share.
Yeah.
Today.
So do you still consider it conflict, or is it become the norm where you can't tell the difference because this is just how we roll?
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And we know that's actually real. So it's no need to not touch it. But it's pretty bad when the norm becomes conflict.
Yeah, because we make statements like, this is just who we are. This is what we do. We've been doing it like this for this long. And as long as that is your belief system, that this is just what y'all do, versus the way that it's designed to go and how it's designed for us to love and to walk in love and to be able to treat our spouses just as good as we treat people on the street or people that we work with or people that we call our best friends. And until that become a thing, then it's really not normal.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
I wish that there was something in us that we could have a 50-year run of 51st wives or
Say that again?
51st husbands, 51st wives or 51st husbands.
Okay. Explain, please.
You know, remember the movie 51st Dates?
Yes.
And every time he woke up, it was a new day. You know, what if every day, you know, we got an opportunity for it to be new, so we would never get common with one another. We never get used to one another. Every day we see
That
each
would be
other,
dope.
we felt like it was the wedding day or you know, something like that. Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be amazing? Now we wouldn't probably we'd lose our jobs because we'd be calling in, not going to work and things like that. So that'd be kind of tough.
Yeah.
We'd be living in a mud hut. But
Yeah, but one of the people was frustrated because they just never knew what the next day was going to be. They were hoping that they remembered.
yeah, well, but I'm saying that
Oh,
both
you're
of
flipping
us,
it. Oh,
I'm
both
saying
of us.
both of
Okay.
us have that
Okay.
experience. You know?
Okay, that would be pretty dope.
That'd be pretty dope, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because then there would be no record of wrongdoing.
And be no more taken for granted.
No.
You never get, you know, used to one another and things like
Yeah.
that. And that's a common. I mean, that's just a part of it that really kind of sucks,
It kind of sucks.
and especially for women.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah, like kind of really.
No, for real.
Okay. there you
Okay,
go.
thank
no,
you.
Okay. What would be a better way than saying it kind of sucks?
It straight up sucks.
Okay. It straight up sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so what? And it's like this is not our topic for today, but it's like almost like, what do you do when you've been together for 40 years and
You said 4 or 40?
40?
Okay.
You
Wow.
know, 30 years. You know, we've been together more than 30 years, and you know, what do you do when you're used to her doing certain things for you? You're used to him doing certain things for you, and you know, I mean, it's not the same as seeing it for the first time.
Absolutely not.
You know,
And then, like you say, anything that you have access to consistently normally becomes common.
exactly.
And that's the part that sucks.
That's a good point. I remember we were younger. We bought this big house, and it was like, oh man, like we get this house, man. I'm not gonna ask for nothing now. Shoo, man, I'm gonna be good. Thank you,
For the rest
Jesus.
of
Thank
my
you, Lord,
life.
for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna need nothing. This is it. And man, we went in the house 2 months before it was commonplace.
And then things start to shrink.
Right, don't seem as big as it used to
Yeah,
be.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a great point you made. Anything that you have for so long, it can be a car.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep that car clean and vacuumed out, I mean, everything, and then all of a sudden, after a while,
Yeah.
not so much.
Not so
I mean,
much.
So yeah. I mean, that's anything.
And it's really, really sad because did we become ungrateful? I kept, think about that, because we should never not be grateful for what we have and what God has blessed us with. So I got the new car. I love the way it smelled. And then you drive it and you're like, give it some people a month or so, and there's all kind of stuff in the car. And it's like, that's a sign to show you that you no longer appreciate or as grateful as you were when you first got the thing.
I like that. I think people will be able to stomach that better by saying you're no longer as grateful
Yeah, I know.
as you were
Yeah.
when you first got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's just what we do with each other as well.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
and
true, even though
true.
even though we don't want to convince ourselves that is a truth.
Right.
It is true, because why did I treat you so great in dating?
Right. Right.
And why did you go beyond and above the call of duty in dating?
Yeah.
And then they become your wife or your husband, and now you're looking at them like, what you asked me to do? And it's just not cool.
And then we know that the subject of conflict we're talking about today, conflict plays a part in that a little less grateful.
Yeah, because even though I'm the one doing it to you, you know what it used to be like. See, the person who's dishing it out is not realizing that it's not how I always used to treat you.
That's good. That's good.
And so then on the other side, if this is how I'm used to you treating me and now it's different, the conflict is coming.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time, because now you have allowed me to create these expectations that this is who you are and this is who you're going to be.
Ooh, this is good.
And now you and shift it and flip the script on me. And so now I am fighting for what I used to have. And now that I don't have it anymore, if it was a good thing.
Which is why we've learned now to say that the way most people date is just fool's gold.
It's fool's gold, because that is not something that most people are willing to keep up.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
It's
for
not
most people.
sustainable.
Yeah.
And so then the pain, the sadness, the expectations, and then you start having these thoughts and you're starting to store stuff and you're starting to compartmentalize things. And now you're like, not the same, and to a point where you eventually talk yourself out of not the same.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see what I'm saying? And it's like, it depends on who you are. It depends on how rooted you are in Christ. It depends on your
Say
identity
that
in
again.
Him,
It
how
depends.
rooted you are in Christ.
Yes.
And it's like your identity, because if you got any glimpse of your old nature and the way that you used to, some people abuse themselves verbally and talk about themselves and do certain things. If that's what you're doing, you have the potential to do it. Because if your foundation is not solid on, no matter what the circumstances is, He can never change, then you can fall off. You
Right.
can fall off the bricks.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Man, that's good stuff. We're not trying to be a Debbie Downer about getting married or whatever, because it's still within that, even though you've been together a long time, and the marriage doesn't always still have that new car smell, that new marriage smell.
Yeah.
There are still opportunities within the marriage for great, great highs. They just don't always keep going higher, 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 higher. There's some reality in there.
Yeah.
There's kids. We got to raise kids. We got to work. We got to, heaven forbid, but in most cases, you go through life. Sick. I got sick. Almost died. Early on in our relationship, you went through some things that you were going to the hospital back and forth.
Yeah.
So you go through these situations. A lot of women experience things in their body, and so now there are these things growing in them, and that makes it difficult for intercourse. So all these different things in life happens. Somebody, a close family member dies, and you get sad. All this life stuff. So it's not expected that you can always maintain the highs from false dating.
Yeah.
But what you can do is, if you learn how to go through those things together and stay together and be there for one another in those things, you grow a different level of intimacy.
Yeah.
And you grow roots down deep within your relationship. Like, I was talking to an old high school buddy today, and I was like, man, if it's not going to happen, but if something was to happen to my wife, listen, he can tell you I said this. If he's watching, put it in the chat. I'm not going through this again, what it took for me to learn my wife and what it took for her to learn me, and what it took. Not doing it again. And my wife said, oh, you say that now, but if something like that was happening, no, I wouldn't. Listen, I just probably play more golf. I just probably play more golf. I'm not doing this again.
It is so incredible what people can say they'll do until that person that catch their eye or somebody walks past that's like, they're interesting.
Listen.
And then everything you said, you gonna bite the dust and you gonna eat.
I've had attractive before. And I've had attractive when attractive got mad at me or angry with me or something like that. And attractive ain't that attractive when we having conflict.
Yes.
I don't care how pretty. Listen, if attractive was all you need, I'm not going to name names, but certain actresses and movie stars and things like that wouldn't keep getting married and divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced. Why? Because they're so attractive. Listen, attractive don't keep a marriage.
Nope.
That's another
But
false
that's another
issue.
false tendency that takes place in the dating world. And I was thinking about that today when I was riding in my car going to the track. I was thinking about, because I always have these movies play in my head, and I was thinking, how do we become so common that you absolutely don't even care what you look like no more? Like, I start seeing all of the bonnets and all of the things, and how I see people, they're in a marriage, but they just let themselves go. And I don't care what man it is. I don't care what denomination he is. I don't care what he tell you. All men like pretty. And for them to
Man, I
say
know.
that they don't, or try to convince you of something different, especially in certain denominations and things. And it's like, if it's not that big of a deal, then why is all this cheating happening? And why the very thing you said for her not to wear, the makeup you told her not to put on, why is that the very thing you're chasing? It is like everybody's like deceived in some kind of shape, form, or fashion. It's like, I don't want you to look like that, but when I get caught cheating, that's what they're gonna look like.
Right.
It don't
That's
even
what's
matter.
catching my
That's what's
eye.
catching my eye. And it's like, that's just not a game I've ever played. You know, if I go some days, you know something wrong.
Right.
You know, and it's not that I did it to try to keep you. It's like, that's how I feel about myself.
Yeah, and I know now there are people that we know that they don't care that much about their own personal, about attraction in that sense. They're more just cared about, do we get along and stuff like that. And so there are people like that, but most men
Yeah,
like pretty,
absolutely.
and pretty is not necessarily just a certain something they show you on TV.
Absolutely.
Pretty means well maintained, well kept.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what your body shape or weight or
Yeah.
it's just
'Cause
are you
everybody got a type.
Everybody got a type or
Yeah.
whatever, and everybody's type ain't the same.
Yeah.
One may look at it and like, ooh, I like that thin, and the other one like, ooh, I need some meat on the bone. I mean, so there's
Yeah.
always a difference, but
Yeah.
no matter what the size or shape is, do you take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Do you freshen up? Do you smell good?
Yeah.
Do you dress nice? Whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. And most men I know, they like pretty.
Yeah. And so back to the topic of conflict, I guess my heart, because it's not funny anymore, right? It's no longer funny that you can be in a marriage for 30 and 40 years, and that's the part you remember the most.
Which
It's
part?
the conflict.
conflict.
Yes.
Okay.
It's no longer funny. It's like, if we are all saying that we are in the body of Christ, and that we say we love God, and that his love flows through us, then what is it going to take for you to change the narrative? Like, I went to lunch with my godson, and some of the questions he asked me was, how did you get there? How did you do that? How do you do it that way? Like, your intimacy with God seems so different than the ones that we're having. And I said to him, even recently, I don't know if I was dreaming, I don't know what I was doing, but I kept seeing, even when we think God is in first place, most of the time he is not. And so I told him that I made a pact with the Holy Spirit. And one of the things I said, it must be intentional. Because if intentional is not written on your forehead and above, right in your face, it will not be. And ever since, I don't know how long it's been, and when I shared with him what I do in the morning now, I will not look at a text. I will not look at an email. I won't check it no more. And what I told him was, it was bidding for my affection over God. And anything that takes first place over him has now become a problem. And I shared how I get up. I don't look at it. I go in the bathroom, do whatever. Then I go to my place that I pray or whatever. And I say ever since that has taken place, the intimacy have went to like a whole nother level. And if I can do that with God and make it almost like a vow, then the reason it doesn't happen in relationships is because it either is not that important or we're not willing to put it in the natural first place.
It's not intentional.
It's not intentional, because whatever is not intentional don't just happen. And now that I realize that, because I've used that word for a long time, and in other areas I've seen it show up and how it works in the manifestation of it. And so I am now seeing it this way, and it has become so beautiful. And so all I'm saying is, this don't just happen. You don't just have a good relationship.
Nope.
You
don't stumble into
you
a
don't
good
stumble in
relationship.
that. It requires on your part to do it intentionally and to have the thoughts that go along with the intentions. Because if I make it intentional, then I have to think right for me to get the outcome that I want.
Absolutely.
And so conflict doesn't have to be a part of your name, your middle name in this marriage. You see, it doesn't have to be your first, last, or your middle name. It can be, no, this is not something that I must do or have to do. And I believe that God has given us the ability to do it.
Yeah, he has, and he's given us the pathway to go about it.
Yeah.
But we are not as intentional at it in building those pathways.
Yeah.
And so, like, that really boils down to renewing our mind.
Period.
And learning to think a certain way.
Yes.
And we just really haven't grasped the level of what renewing of the mind
Yeah.
is and what it takes. And now that we're here in 2026 and there's, technology is where it's at, and you have these scientists, and they're able to see in the brain and things like that. They're able to understand that when we're operating a certain way, we're operating based upon our pathways in our mind. That's what they're used to. That's what they have meditated on the most. That's what they have believed the most, right?
Yeah.
And a good day, service, church, reading something, or a good week is not going to totally renew a neural pathway.
No.
It's and they have this example out there, and I think this made sense to me. It's like if you were, let's say, I lived here, and where you're at is the neighborhood store. And to get to the store, there was a wooded area in between where I live and the store. So to get to it, I would have to walk around, go down the street and around to get to it. But I decided to start going through the woods, and I make this pathway through the woods. If I keep walking that same pathway every time I go through the woods, eventually I'm creating a path.
Yep.
And now somebody else can come and they can
Behind you.
see the path and walk the same path that I walked on. And it's the same. I have to keep going down the same path over and over and over again
Yeah.
before it creates that path.
Yeah.
And that's the same way that the brain works. To change the way you've been thinking and the way you've been operating, you have to consistently, day after day after day, for a period of time. And they say that you can do this like in 5-minute segments a few times a day for 30 days to 63 days, and you will build a new pathway in your brain so that now it becomes your norm.
Yeah.
And not the old way of thinking. And for some people, that sounds like that's too much work.
Man.
Because we want something new. I need another new message, or I need another new something to think about. We know that the Bible says that we need to cast down our thoughts. So any thought that comes that is not in line with the way God says we should think,
Yeah.
or we're talking marriage, any thought that I have that's not in line with the way that I want to think towards you and operate towards you, whenever I recognize that thought, then I need to take that thought
Captive.
and I need to put in an intentional, which is your word, I need to put in an intentional practice in
place.
place. So every day, I may wake up, and for 5 minutes a day, after I spend time with God, in 5 minutes a day, I'm going to specifically, intentionally think about something opposing that thought, something the way God would want me to think.
Yeah.
And I think about it, I meditate on it, The word in the scriptures, meditate, is like chewing on. It's
Yeah.
like it's likened to a cow that chews the grass, and they chew it and get all the nutrients out of it, right?
Yes.
And then they swallow it, and then they regurgitate it,
Yeah.
and they do it again, and they do that several times to get all the nutrition
That's
out of
crazy.
it. Well, that over and over and over process that the cow is doing as they're chewing that, that's the process that meditation is talking about. We have to do that over and over and over again. It's not enough that I just want to change.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of people change that just wanted to change without any action
it doesn't
or
happen.
anything put in place. And it is like conflict causes so much pain and so much separation and disconnection. And it almost, if you're not careful, will separate you from God.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Because when people get into those dark places, it's hard to go before God. It's hard to have this healthy, amazing conversation. You will be completely fake. You see, I used to always tell couples when they would come to the office, when they say, my relationship with God is phenomenal, but my relationship with them sucks. Something's wrong with this picture.
Right.
Because I cannot have a phenomenal relationship with God when my relationship with you is so strained.
Yeah.
That means because God can't make mistakes.
Right.
So somebody is not in alignment or in disobedience. And so when that is taking place, you only can point back to the two people that's in this.
And when people say that, they're usually what they're usually saying is, reason why I got a good relationship with God and not with them is because everything that's going on in our relationship is their fault.
Absolutely. And it's so funny how people will argue this point. But studies have shown if there is love in my heart and I am connected to the source, that's what flows out. When you're disconnected, rage, bitterness, I mean, everything you can think of that's on the other side of this, which is the flesh, that's what's going to flow out.
Yeah.
And so no matter how we try to twist this and try to come up with excuses and justifications for these things, it's still going to go back to the word, and the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And no matter what your new belief is, it doesn't change what the original belief is.
Yeah.
And so many people have created their own doctrine, even on marriage.
Absolutely.
And so, and they're seeing the fruit of it. And it's just like you have to come to a place where you get sick and tired of not being in alignment and just surviving in this relationship.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, and it's just like you just got to get over yourself. Anytime that there's conflict with us, it's once again somebody wanting their own way or wanting to be right about something.
Well, we're going to see if that's on the list.
Okay, let's see if it's on the list.
So we're going to get down here. And I asked you to put in the chat, or the comments, what you think what conflict says about you in a relationship. I also, now that what we've talked about now, put in the chat if you have an intentional process helps that helps you renew your mind.
Yeah.
Concerning things about.
And that's what I wanted to say,
relationship.
how I see so many people in all these years of counseling, how they abort the process so quickly. It's almost like they got ADHD or something in this area of being consistent in the arena that can save their marriage. Not just save your marriage, because some people only see it as marriage, but this is generational. This is legacy. This is something that God created in the earth to make him look good as well. And then all of us are jumping off ship, jumping overboard, and just doing away with what we said that we signed up to forever.
Right.
And so I would say, is it that hard to just stick with a process until you can see some results?
I think one of the problems is that we don't stick with one thing. We jumping around for
Yeah,
so many
you already
different
know how
things.
I feel about that.
Yeah. And so as I was just sharing, even when I was sharing about the building a pathway in your mind about intentional process of changing a thought, the Bible does say, capture every thought.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's understand something. That we have thousands of thoughts a day, right? So you can't capture every thought all in one day. You're never going to capture them all, and you're never going to gain any traction. So when you recognize that there's something in you that is against the way God wants you to think, and it is unhealthy for your relationship, deal with that one, and be intentional about that one. Gain some victory in that one, and then next month. Now after you got victory in that one,
Yeah,
now
then
you
move
can
on
catch
to the
another
next
one.
thing.
And then when
Yeah.
you catch another one, start the process again.
Yeah, stop trying to do 10 things at once. Be a master at one thing.
Yeah.
And then go to the next thing. Because we hear people say you want to have your eggs in all these baskets, you want to have all of these different sources or whatever. I agree to a certain point. When I had all of those things in this, I actually was dividing
Divided, yeah.
my whole businesses, because I had these people, and I'm pulling from these people over here, trying to pull them over here. It was just, it was a mess.
Right.
And it's like, it sounds good, but once again, we dive into all of these worldly systems that cause so much heartache later.
Absolutely.
And it's like, we have to get to a place where if you signed up for marriage and you believe that God has designed marriage, then that means he gave you the strength and the ability to work through it. So if he did, because I think even about myself, I am sitting here when I said, is it that hard? Yeah, it was hard. It was straight up hard, but I made a commitment to God and I want to please God. And so that meant that, once again, God is not the problem.
Yeah.
It was something that I wasn't willing to give up or to do or to come in alignment with to get me where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And when you fight that process or fighting the other person forever in that situation, nothing good is going to come out of that. And you can be as saved as you want to be, but nobody can do that forever
Exactly.
and still maintain.
Right.
Somebody got to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. All right. So 5 things conflict says about your marriage. Number one, and these are not in any particular order, but number one, there are unmet needs that aren't being clearly communicated. Many conflicts are repeated attempts to say, I need something from you that I'm not receiving.
And that's what I said early on in the conversation, and that is, you show me this, you're no longer doing that, and this is my way that I know to try to get it, but it's not getting it in the right way.
Yeah, James, the book of James 4 talks about conflicts come from desires at war within us.
Yes, absolutely.
And that we're not getting our way about something.
Yeah. Or you are not in a position where you know how to express yourself and communicate properly to get those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Often couples argue about the symptoms.
Yeah.
You know,
versus the root cause.
It could be money, time, tone, whatever, but the root is the unmet emotional or relational needs. And I can definitely say that in our relationship. There was so much of our relationship that you were crying out in many different ways for emotions from me.
Emotional support.
Emotional support, emotional connection, emotional connectivity from me. And it came out in so many different ways that seemed to, actually work against what you were trying to get from me, but it was a plea for it.
Yeah.
And so that's happening in a lot of couples.
Yeah, it's happening because people are not even doing the work to get information to know these things.
Yeah.
They won't read a book. They won't go to counseling. A lot of men won't ask another man if they see them be successful. They don't normally just roll up on them and say, hey, man, how are you making that work? It seemed like y'all got it together. Like, you got some advice? They normally don't do that.
Nope.
Women would do it all day long, but men will not. And that's the other thing. The women are getting all of this information, but they're getting it alone. So that means that they know something you don't know because you didn't show up at the marriage thing. You didn't show up to this. You didn't read the books that they read. And now they got all this information that is true. Then that caused conflict because I see this and I know this is how it's supposed to be going, but I'm getting nothing from you. Which
makes me excited that you told me that there are actually more men, a little bit maybe more men watching our podcast than women.
Yeah.
Was that what the numbers showed?
Yeah.
I mean, I
It was by
exci-
10%. I was shocked.
I was shocked and excited
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank God, man. Keep watching so that you can both get. That's one thing I can say about us, that throughout our relationship, we always look to both be growing
Yeah.
in areas of
Whatever
our
book I
relationship.
read,
and
I
with God.
told you, you read it. Whatever you had, you told me, or we did it together.
Yes.
Even in times where we was having those moments, we still continued on that path
Right.
to make sure that we knew what each other was getting, unless you was just reading a book concerning men
Yeah.
or whatever, and me, vice versa. But it's like, you got to be able to stay connected, and you have to grow together. You
Yes.
don't just get to say,
Because if you don't grow together,
you grow separate.
you grow apart.
You grow apart.
Yeah.
And so that's just life. That's anything.
Yeah. So this number one, what it's saying is, we don't feel heard or understood. That's basically.
You don't too.
That's what number one was saying.
Oh, okay.
We don't feel heard or
Okay.
understood. All right. So number two, the second reason why, or the second thing that conflict says about your relationship, there is a breakdown in communication, not just disagreement. Okay. It's not the presence of disagreement. It's the way it's handled that conflict is that causes a lot of conflict.
Yeah. But, well, you can just talk from your perspective of when you thought you were communicating properly, but it wasn't being transmitted that way.
Yeah, no,
You know?
and it goes back to intent versus execution.
Yes.
You can be forever intending something
Yep.
and meaning some or not meaning something, but what's the execution?
Yeah.
And how does the other person feel?
Yeah. And I think most of the time conflict comes because the other person is only thinking about how they feel. They never consider the person that they're supposed to do life with, that
Not
they're
at that
supposed to
time.
spend
Yeah.
life with in that moment.
Yeah.
They are not thinking about them. And so because
Absolutely.
it's not happening, conflict will continue. Because anything becomes selfish or becomes about you, it's going to suffer. What does it say? Jesus came to
Yes.
serve, not to get. He came to give. And so we're created in God's image. And if we're not operating in that vein, we're going to get a really jacked up outcome.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when the communication is off, or you're in the conversation and the communication is not going properly. Guess what's going to happen? In just the very moment, that person is going to go into self.
Cain mode.
And they're getting ready to start thinking about, how do I protect myself in this thing? And sometimes, how do I win? And we've always said there is no such thing as a winner in a marriage when one is losing.
Right.
It's no such thing.
No such thing.
Because you both either winning or you both losing.
Absolutely.
And that's the only way
That's
it can
the
go.
only way it can go.
That's the only way it can go.
No, great. Ephesians 4:29 talks about communication should build up, not tear down. And when we get into that mode of defending self or fighting for our position or our thought process on something, you are absolutely right. We are no longer at that moment thinking about the other person, trying to protect the other person, trying to protect the relationship. We are trying to protect self. Absolutely.
And that's what conflict is. It is to protect you.
Yeah, and the things that you can see jump off that when this starts happening, the tone changes.
Yeah.
Defensiveness, timing, assumptions. Assumptions happen, and these things can turn small issues into reoccurring battles, reoccurring conflicts, the conflict cycles and conflict.
Yeah, because I call those ammunitions.
ammunition. Yeah.
That's what those are. And who is the ammunition for? You mean to tell me you want to use ammunition towards your spouse?
Right. I'm
Oh,
taking
wow.
ammunition and loading up my gun.
Wow.
To shoot my spouse.
Wow.
No. And no loving, God-fearing Christian wants to do that intentionally.
No. We must believe that.
But that thing,
it is
snatches you.
crazy. Like,
because if your old mindset, it snatches you and you go into that mode before you even knew it.
yeah.
And then if you're not careful, it's hard to get out of it for a moment.
Oof. And I think about I can go from 20s to 30s to 40s, and I can go on. And it's like in different stages of how it almost appeared you had no control, where you literally can do stuff like this for weeks and months at a time, not talking, speaking, rejecting, and silence treatments and all of those things. I call them your dumb days.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, I couldn't imagine today talking to you for 2 weeks. That's just like, that should be like, two people should be suffering.
Right.
If that's what's taking
That's what's
place.
taking place.
Yeah.
And so that second one, what that is saying is that what conflict is saying about that couple is that they don't know how to safely talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And if you think, well, I know how to safely talk to my spouse. Well, anybody knows how to safely talk to one another when everything's going well.
Yeah.
When there's agreement.
Yeah.
When they're not saying anything against you or anything like that. But do you know how to talk to them safely when the conflict arises?
Yeah,
when
and I
the
think
disagreement comes up.
Yeah, I think that's why God thinking why God put something in the Bible when he talks about it's easy to love those who love you back.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
And so if
Even
he
sinners
said,
do that.
Yeah, even sinners do that. And it's like, it sounds like the mature person can do it either way. And they can do it even when there is hard times and there's conflict and there's things that are taking place. Because if he said even the sinners would do it the other way, then yours should look a little different.
That's the only way you know you're spiritually maturing.
Yeah.
You're not spiritually maturing because you have a gift of prophecy or because you can speak in tongues or because you've laid hand on the sick and they should because you can quote so many Bible verses and things like that. That's not the thing that just makes you spiritually mature.
Man.
You're spiritually mature when you get squeezed and you still act like Christ.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the reasons that the church is in trouble and the relationships in the church is in trouble, because they have been convinced that church has been enough. I am faithful, I am loyal, and I show up. But that doesn't give you a foundation, because if you can know what truth is, but if truth is not manifesting in your life, you just know that it's true.
That means you're not wise.
You're not wise. And so truth can't help you if it's not being applied to your life. It's just there. So that means the foundation is off.
Absolutely.
And so people are not connecting the dots, and you cannot leave God out.
I had this vision. I was thinking about something. He said, I've seen, I like boxing, right? So I've seen boxers in the gym training, and they're working on, perfect jabs and perfect moves and this kind of stuff. They're working it perfectly. And then they get into an actual real fight in the ring with thousands of people in the audience, and all that training goes out the window. Now they just swinging and slugging and they in the corners like, what are you doing? We worked on the jab. Why
cover
are you
yourself.
not doing what we worked on? Why you not?
Jab.
Because they don't really have it. And the great ones, when they get into an actual fight, it all slows down. They continue to do the same thing, no matter what.
Repetition.
No matter what the pressure, they continue to do the same thing. It should be the same thing in our relationship. No matter what conflict tries to arise and come up, we should be able to quickly calm ourselves back down and think about the marriage and the person that we're married to, and not our position.
Yeah.
It's rather. I was getting my car done, getting my tires, getting the new tires on my car, and I was sitting in a place, and this guy asked this older couple sitting there. They probably was in their upper 80s, and he's like, "Man, look, y'all been together for a long time." And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Tell me something. What's the secret? What's the secret?" And the guy says, "Well, the secret for me is it's better to be happy than to be right."
That right there cures all marriages instantly, because once again, there's no conflict unless someone's trying to prove their way is the way. It would end marriage problems today.
It's better to be happy
Than to be right. Wow.
Yeah. Give me a like, a subscribe if that would change your relationship.
Yeah, but I don't think when the people are in that moment, They're not thinking that they're trying to be right.
No, we know that thing because their brain shrinks.
Yeah, you're not thinking you're
Yeah.
trying to be right or trying to prove something. You're just feel like I'm trying to get my point across and I need you to know what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, all of that. No, it's more to it than that.
We have said this over and over and over again, and we experience this too, but
Yeah.
we've said this over and over again that you cannot trust yourself in that moment.
Nope.
When your emotion rises up, your voice rises
Rise
up,
up.
your pulse rises, your legs start shaking, your heart start beating, and when you start getting loud and you start getting aggressive, whatever, you cannot trust yourself in those moments.
So why don't nobody believe it?
I don't know. They ain't watched us. We haven't said it enough. They haven't watched us say it enough. You cannot trust yourself.
Yeah,
it's
it's
better just
happening.
to get out of it.
And you know it's
Time
starting to
out,
happen.
go to your corners.
You know, because you starting to feel different. You can, like you said, you can be looking at this person. They look normal.
Come on with it. Come
And
on with
then
it.
all of a sudden you look at them with this disdain. Like, like that is crazy. When you really slow it down and think about what's happening in that moment. And we can be in the kitchen. You standing on that side, I'm on this side, and then something is said, and it's just like, I'm done for the night.
The key thing that you said there was that you feel different.
You feel
If
different.
we could ever be able to catch that feeling. Remember I've talked about like when you feel hungry,
Yeah.
your body growls, whatever, you know what you need. You need some food. You need it to.
Yeah.
When you feel that, that's your body telling you something. You're going into Cain mode.
Yeah.
You're going into conflict mode, and you need to do something different to get out of it. And trying to win, trying to prove your point, that's not going to get you out of it.
It will not.
You have a better chance of just really recognizing and say, hey, you know what? Let's squash this conversation. Let's take a time
Yeah.
out.
And I think that one right there is easier said than done. I am now thinking about, wow, this has just been revealed. Out of all the places that we have to like die to ourselves, in that moment probably is the hardest time to give up your will and to die in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and most people don't survive that part and fight through that piece until later on where everybody's sorry. And then you go in your own corners or wherever you go, and then you come back. Most people never win in that moment.
We never pick up our cross in that moment.
No.
Cross laid on, kick the cross across the room.
It's just like, what cross?
What cross?
Yeah, you turn into
I
something
ain't picking
that
up no
is
cross. I ain't carrying no cross
unrecognizable.
right now.
Yeah, and it's almost like, do you forget that in this moment I'm still supposed to be representing God? So are we even throwing that away in that moment? Like, no. No, this is how I feel. No, not right now. That's basically what is taking place. Oh, that is so sad.
It's so sad. It's so painful.
It's so painful.
And it does such damage to our relationship, to the
Yeah.
intimacy of our relationship, to the connection that our relationship need. It does damage. And when it happens too often, it's hard to come back from it.
Man.
And when you remember I talked about the path? Mm-hmm. When it happens so repeatedly, you've now built a conflict pathway in your brain.
In your brain. Because you've done that more consistently.
In the good time.
Than
So now your brain's go-to is conflict. And listen, you cannot do anything with the way God created us.
No.
And he created us so in a way that these brains, their dominant thought process is how they shake and bake.
Yep.
That's how we shake and bake based upon our dominant thought process. Mm-hmm. Our heart, the core of who we are. It's embedded into our thinking, and that's how we shape. That's how we're shaped. That's how we move. That's how we groove. That's how we respond when we get squeezed.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the way God created us. And so if that's the way he created us, the only way to have it work for your good is to create pathways that align up with the way he wants you to
And that
think.
takes practice
Intentionality.
on purpose.
On purpose. Don't be changing your word. Intentionality
That
is
way
your word.
Yeah, I know, but you said it before me, so I had to come up with a new one. I had to, yeah.
All right, so number 3. There are unresolved, the number 3 thing that conflict says about your marriage,
Okay.
or I could have said the third thing that conflict says about your marriage.
Okay, thank you.
Are we going to have conflict about the way I said it?
We might,
You want to pick up your cross, or you want to put the cross down?
I'm gonna hold on to it right now.
The third thing that conflict says about your marriage or your relationship is that there are unresolved wounds or past offenses.
Wow.
Repeated conflict often means something never was truly healed.
So how does it heal if a person comes back to that wound and pick it constantly?
Or are you saying the other person?
Yeah. So if I got a wound from you, and you're not changing much, and the scab keeps trying to heal itself,
I love this question.
and so then daily or whatever, you keep coming and picking and it bleeds again. So since you love this question, then why does it bleed, and when do the person get past it?
I love the question, but the way the question is framed is almost also saying that,
It's your fault.
no, it's also saying that in Christ, we don't have the ability to heal without the other person doing the same. Remember, the Bible says a woman, you can win him over without a word. That's not saying that other person has to change. That's saying that regardless of what they're doing, you still have to be godly. You have to
Okay,
still
so
be like
are
Christ.
you saying if you, well, no,
And
'cause
so,
yeah.
so the wound still gets being picked. The wound is being picked and wide open and bleeding again, because when they do what they do or say what they say, that triggers me and connects me to that wound, I still go down that same pathway in my brain.
Yeah, and
so
so-
I haven't intentionally done something to build a new pathway that says when she says this. No, do you remember this? I don't know if you remember this, but there used to be, I don't remember what exactly was, but there was something they used to say. It wasn't harmful or anything, but it was something you used to say, or something you asked me when we were driving in the car or something like that, and it used to upset me, right? And then I started meditating on something differently, and I remember one day riding down the car and you said it, and
riding down where?
riding down the street in the car, and you said it, and it didn't bother me. And that's when I knew that the meditation process had worked and had kicked in. It's not like you were saying anything evil or
No,
sinful
I'm just
or
saying I
anything
would
like
have
that
never
or whatever.
remembered it because that was internal.
But I ended up sharing it.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
I ended up sharing. I was like,
Okay.
oh wow, that when you used to say that used to bother me, and now it don't bother me anymore, or whatever. So that's just proof that we can do inner work, build new pathways based upon God's word and God's way, regardless of what they do. Now, listen, I'm not talking about if somebody's going upside your head.
Okay.
Then you need to separate.
Yeah.
You need to separate for
Yeah.
yourself.
So,
and if they won't
yeah.
stop that, you need to call 911
Yeah.
and put that joker in jail.
Yeah, I just always wanted to be, listeners.
I had that,
people.
you got to throw that in because you quick to go about somebody beating on somebody or something like. They go pretty much they gonna think that I beat my wife.
At church too.
I don't beat my
My
wife.
son told me to watch my back. yeah, but I'm saying that that part makes sense. But I don't like to leave those type of things just blanket, like that's too wide open, that someone else can be thinking like this is over and over, so I take that and just go to God with it. Not all things. Not all things. We're talking about things that you have control over, that you can control your temper,
Yes.
your emotions,
Yes.
and your will.
Oh, that's so good because even if I don't like something that you're doing or saying, that doesn't mean that I have to allow it to trigger me into anger and rage and
Yes.
or whatever, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can just calmly say, hey, you know what? We're not doing that. I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. I don't.
And then
I don't
some
have to
things,
go triggered into.
no, you don't.
Yeah.
But some things, just because you don't like it, that doesn't become my problem. Do you see what I'm saying? Just because you don't like it, I'm not talking about something that's unhealthy for the relationship or something I'm saying to you that is disrespectful or something like that. I am talking about, you may not like me asking a question in the way you drive or riding down the street or whatever. That's not something that you have to ask yourself, why does that bother me so bad?
Yeah,
You see,
exactly.
yeah. And so it's not
That's
like
what I was
that's
saying.
when I said that doesn't become my problem because that's an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
If you
And I think most things are an
are
inside
inside
job.
job, yeah, that we blame on other people.
Things become an outside job when too many inside jobs haven't been dealt with, and they build up, and then they become outside. Like
Yeah.
people, like the biggest things that people think cause marriages to break up. Cheating, abuse. Whatever money. Usually, cheating is not something that just happened in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's usually a result of a tenure of
Not for all.
yeah, I say usually.
Okay.
A tenure of unmet needs and things like that,
Yeah.
and a lack of connection
Yeah.
and things like that, or whatever. And then they tend to look for that connection somewhere else.
Yeah,
Or whatever,
yeah.
something like that.
Or that person married that person while they were walking down the aisle. That person was still going to be that person every day. I mean, that person in the marriage, whether that person did anything or not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some people that they're just not.
we
they're not
we
connected
saw
to God.
that
Yeah.
in so many years ago where we went before.
Yeah, there are
And-
people
yeah.
that they're not connected to God.
Yeah, they're not connected
They
to
might
God,
even
yeah.
go to church.
And they did.
They might preach at a church.
And they did.
But they're not connected to
Absolutely.
God. But if you mean this thing, you mean God, you mean to love somebody.
Yeah.
Well-meaning people
Yeah.
over time of conflict end
Yeah.
up damaging and hurting one another.
Yes.
Through-
In all kind of ways.
And they're sorrowful for it. They're hurt by it, but
Yeah.
they did not deal with these things before it ended up taking them down a bad road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So so that was number 3, and then I didn't even mention this, but on that line of number 3, Hebrews 12 warns us about the root of bitterness that grows and causes trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we don't deal with something early on, and we don't forgive and
Yeah.
deal with forgiveness, the process of forgiveness early on. If we don't forgive, then that turns into contempt
Yeah,
and
contempt
bitterness
and rage, all the above.
Yeah, and John Gottman says contempt is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That's one of the 4 things that they can tell that's going to destroy your relationship.
Yeah.
When there's contempt.
Wow.
You can say something and then you just look at a person. That's a danger sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a danger sign because that means that in that moment you got contempt in your heart
Yeah.
for your spouse.
Man,
and you got to deal with
yeah.
that.
But it's incredible sometimes as believers how we work on that with the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to church and different things, you're trying to be loving. You're trying not to be in conflict with people. And, this is what God would do. But it's almost like we forget that the most important place to do it is in your family and in your home.
Mm-hmm.
But we work overtime trying to convince others that we're a good person.
And for a lot of people, I don't even know if a lot of people work overtime. I think there's a lot of us have an inclination towards narcissism. I remember the very first time that I looked at like a clinical list or definition of the signs of a narcissist. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, I'm like, I don't know anybody that doesn't have
Some of these symptoms.
some of these symptoms, some of these signs. Does it to be a true narcissist? You have to have all of them, or 6
Yeah.
out of 7, or whatever.
At least 3.
But
Yeah.
everybody I know got at least 3 of them signs, 4 of them signs, or whatever. I mean, because it's so easy to put on the good foot at work or at church or something like that.
some.
But then when you have been in the trenches with somebody over and over and over again, and you tasted the bitterness of their whatever it is with them that rubs you the wrong way,
Yeah.
that becomes more difficult.
It is so funny. I thought all the way back in our 20s, because J2 wasn't born yet, our son, and you were going to teach Sunday school or something or whatever. I was like, I bet you I won't be on the front row
I
listening to
remember
you.
that. I remember that.
Because I don't know how to pretend. There would have been no way that I could have done that or received based on the state of mind or what I felt you had done in that moment. And it was just like, this is what people fake and do for years. They show up to church as a wife and as a pastor and they just pretend. I'm like, I bet you that won't ever be me.
Yeah.
Because that right there is dangerous, to pretend that you've treated me right, pretend that you doing right by God. You can go
Yeah.
talk about God or preach the word, but you at home being a tyrant. It's like, absolutely not.
So if y'all ever see me preaching and she's not sitting on the front row, or see us doing this show and she's not sitting in her seat, she's somewhere with contempt in her heart towards me. So just send a prayer out to her.
Yeah, or he had done something crazy to me. Yeah, but yeah.
So that last one says, what that last one is saying is that we're still carrying the pain that hasn't been addressed or forgiven.
Absolutely.
All right. Number 4, the fourth thing that conflict says about your relationship. Do I say that okay?
Yeah.
All right. The fourth thing that conflict says
You can
about your
keep on
relationship,
if you want to. Look.
about your relationship is there is a struggle with selfishness and lack of mutual submission. And we kind of talked about that earlier. At the core, many conflicts come down to my way versus your way. And Philippians 2:3-4 talks about calling us to value others above ourselves. And where else more should we do that than in a marriage relationship?
No. I mean, just the fact when I always used to say how so many women honor other men and they can't even honor their own.
Yeah.
And that used to really be an agitation for me. Like they'll go and play the game and smile at the pastor or smile at whatever event, the boss. And I'm just like, I just got out of the session with, you know what I'm saying? It's like two people. It's just like, no, I don't want another man to feel like they more important to me than you are.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I mean, I don't even want that to even come off that way, no matter where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know?
I was listening to this podcast and I heard this couple say that. I wish I could think of the name of their podcast to give them credit. Damn, I'm sorry. But she talked about how she trained her children that whenever her husband and whenever their father comes home from work, no matter what y'all doing, y'all stop and y'all come and greet him. Say, hey, daddy's home, give him a hug, give him a kiss or whatever, and then y'all can go back to y'all wherever y'all going. Because the man of the house, the head of the house, the head of the home
They
is
stand up
home.
sometime when presidents and pastors walk in the room.
Yeah, so you can't take a few
Minutes
seconds
to
to
acknowledge
come
your
and
dad.
acknowledge that he's home or whatever. And so she was just talking about some of the things that she did to train her children to say that, listen, we
For
honor,
honor, yeah.
we honor, your father and my husband. His plate is always fixed first, and then I'll fix y'all plates or whatever. Just different little things like
Yeah.
that. And so those are good signs. And so what this fourth one was saying is
Did
that,
it say anything about what the man would do?
well, on this particular, no, that's a great question. But on this particular episode, this was strictly about
The honor of
things
him.
that women need to know
About their husband.
their
Okay,
husbands.
cool.
Okay, so this wasn't the back and forth. I know we often do the both sides or whatever. They said that they had another episode coming that was about what the husband needs to know about his
Okay,
wife.
I just wanted to be clear.
And since you asked, one of the first thing that they said that wives need to know about their husbands, this was cool. The first thing that he said the wives need to know about their husbands is that he's a man. He's not a woman. He's not you. And so don't try to make him be like you.
Yeah. And that's where the world is today.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
They there.
Yeah, there's a way we want to connect and we need to connect with one another, but don't try to get your man to be like your BFF.
Yeah.
He's a man.
Yeah.
He's not.
So why do people go around, or even I've heard you say it, it's just like husband and wife supposed to be best friends. So if you're supposed to be my BFF, then I have an expectation of what my BFF should act like and be like.
And you know what? That's a great point. Because you'll hear some couples say that. A lot of couples say that.
My husband's my best friend.
I don't know that that's always the case.
I think it sounds good.
My wife is the most trusted person in my life. I would trust her blindly. I would trust you blindly. You have the ability to wipe me out and be gone, and I don't even know what happened. I will trust you blindly.
Thanks for letting me know.
I need to put some parameters up in place. I trust you like that. I care more about you than anybody outside of the father or whatever. But like, if I want to go play golf,
You don't want to play with me?
you ain't the first person that I want to go play with.
If I was good.
if I want to play, if I want to watch March Madness, if I want to watch it with somebody, you ain't the first person I want to watch it with.
No, because I'm saying, so is it another one coming on?
Exactly. And so now I gotta, as a husband, I gotta say, like, babe, we've been married 34 years. March Madness has been going on for 34 years. This happened every March at the same time, but I know I can't watch all the games. So, all right, I'm gonna watch a game. I'm gonna watch a game, and then now I gotta watch something with you, and then pay attention to a game on my phone.
So you're
it's
not
March
watching
Madness.
nothing with
and
me,
so now
really?
I gotta hear you're not even paying attention to what we watching or whatever. When you know it's March Madness, you know I don't follow all the games all year long like I used to.
So next year, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set up a scene where you could either go somewhere where they watching it at, or somebody with you. So it don't have to be like we need to be there with each other.
And that's cool, but
No, for
I don't
real.
even. That's cool, but like I probably would do that. That's
Yeah.
probably
I
would do
already
that.
know you would.
But my point is, I love you.
I know.
Listen, we went to Orlando, Florida to just get away. And we love the outlets there, and you wanted to do some shopping. You got blessed, and you want to do some shopping. You much more enjoyed that shopping with your sister than you did with me. I could have stayed.
Were you
was I
there?
even there? Yeah, I was carrying the bags. I was carrying the bags. I was driving the car. I was parking the car. I was pulling the car back up. Yeah, I was there. Remember me? I was doing all that dirty work for you while you was enjoying running around, shopping, taking pictures with your sister. And so, do I feel like you love your sister more than me? No, I don't feel like you love your sister more than me. But in that moment, she was more BFF friend than I was, because that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. And so I don't think there's some rule that has to say my wife is my BFF or my husband and baby. If your wife is or your husband
Hey,
is, cool.
But it's so funny because everybody have said it. Then what you do is create expectations around
So now
that
if you
for
don't
conflict.
feel like that, you feel bad.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Well, my wife is not my
best
best
friend. And
So
it's
something
just
wrong with
like,
us?
yeah, it's just like, I think the way that you put it versus she's my best friend, because some best friends, they have things that they don't trust. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah.
And it's like, your statement was trusted in this with my life, but that doesn't mean that I want to go do all those things with you.
Listen,
I have
we go to
desire to be on the golf course again.
we go to the
for that long.
If we go to the golf course, she's like, it's too hot. Golf. If we go to the Chiefs game, I gotta walk from this parking lot all the way to there.
No,
No,
drive me
I'd much
to the
rather be
door.
with the homies. Then we could just be yapping up and talking about the game and stuff like that. But if I'm with my wife, I'm gonna be with my wife. I'm gonna enjoy. I'm gonna walk slow because I know she ain't gonna want to walk briskly. So I'm gonna make those adjustments. So
Yeah.
what we just say is that don't put no pressure that you gotta be the BFF.
Yeah, and quit saying that. And then when you see them talking to someone else, or the way that they're responding in conversations or whatever, and you like, well, if you was my best friend, why you don't talk to me like that?
Right.
Once again, conflict. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Your husband and not most people had growing up, like me growing up, and I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, but most people, me growing up, my best friends were always male.
Yeah.
I said most people.
Are you trying to like shoot a jab at me?
Nobody would have thought that. Are you saying something?
If I would have been watching, I would have thought that.
No, you growing up, you had your cousins,
I
your
had
girl
my
comes up
sis-
with
my
your best
fa- yeah.
friend. You had your
Yeah.
girls as your best friend. You had some issues later in life as you got a little older that you didn't trust them girls.
No.
Because girls cause conflict, whatever.
Yeah.
But you see my point.
Yeah.
My men's, and so now I get married. But I mean, the things that I do, a lot of the things that I do that are fun, that I grew up doing that are fun, that were things that I did with the homies or whatever, you know?
I mean, we created our own memories and things that are fun.
Yeah.
But it's not
Yeah,
fun
I'm
to
not saying
me
we don't
to
have
be
fun,
outside in 90-degree weather for
For
4 hours
hours.
on a golf course. I mean, I did that. And when it was over, I'm like, you're grateful you made it home.
I don't think she'll ever do that again.
No, I was just like, give me some food. I'm like, the snicker moment took place.
Right.
And I'm just like, and it was almost 100 degrees
Yeah,
in Texas.
In Texas, it was. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so, no, I won't ever do that again. And I like going to set and watch people I know play basketball and things like that. But some of that stuff, no. Just like when you and Will would go to the golf place to buy stuff, I'm like, we still here?
Right. Yeah, we can be there for a minute.
I'm like,
looking all
what?
around,
You
whether we
already
buy
got
something or not.
clubs. Like,
Yeah.
what we doing?
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
those type of things I'm not interested in. But when I travel and do certain things, I want to travel with you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's just different. So we don't have to make it be so jacked up where we got to fall out over it. You know,
Yeah.
just know who you married to.
Just know who you married to.
Yeah, and some couples love to do that.
Some couples they both grew up liking the same things, and so yeah, they must be. We develop things that we like together so
Yeah.
that we can have fun together. And things. But
Absolutely.
like when we go on a family vacation and we go on an excursion, she ain't zip lining.
No.
I gotta do that with my kids.
Yep.
Or if there's another man on the trip, I gotta do
Yep.
that with them or whatever.
No,
you
no.
know?
I think you only do things that you were created to do on the ground. Not flying through the air, jumping out planes, all that. I don't think we were created to do those
That's
things.
fun. But you did the I fly with me.
Yeah.
All right.
Oof.
We're going to talk about that.
No, we
so let's
won't.
finish this up. The fifth thing that conflict says about your marriage. There is a lack of intentional unity and shared direction. You go, girl. There is a lack of intentional unity and shared direction. Couples who aren't aligned spiritually, emotionally, or practically will drift into friction.
Yeah. And that's a real thing.
The real thing. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to end it. Amos 3:3 says, how can two walk together unless they agree?
Yeah.
And a part of marriage is agreement. It's walking in unity. It's doing things intentionally to stay in alignment.
Yeah.
With God and with one another.
Yeah. And I think it's like sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board. At certain points in time in your marriage, you have to sit your spouse down and say, hey, are we still on the same page? Is there some things that you like or something that how I can serve you differently? And so I can be intentional about making this relationship healthier. And I find in a lot of the sessions, people don't even know how to ask questions. They just think of it and they just battle versus going and saying, is there a certain way you like certain things? Is it a certain way you feel that I'm not treating you that I can change? But you got to be willing to mature enough to be able to ask questions without feeling like you stupid or somebody's going to view you in a negative way. It's just like, if you were working on a job and they were going to pay you $1 million a year, you're going to want to know how to do it right.
Absolutely.
So you want to be able to go to your spouse and ask, hey, we've been married 5 years. Is there anything that you see that needs some adjustments, some fine tuning? We have went over these miles. It is time for a tune-up.
I like that.
What does that look like? You see what I'm saying?
tread
Are
on
we
these-
doing
we're
premium
losing
oil or are
tread.
we using cheap oil?
Yeah,
We don't want to do that. So let's have this conversation healthy before we become unhealthy having this conversation.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to
Yeah.
land this plane today. Well, if this episode has been a blessing to you, please again like, subscribe, and share the podcast. As always, this has been another episode of Next Level Marriage Podcast. I'm one half of the dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Bird, and my lovely wife goes by the name of,
Dr. Angel Bird.
and together we are
The Lovebirds.
We'll see you next week.
Rock that never moves. This is how we learn what real love proves. Next Level Marriage Podcast. We're calling you to something deeper, something pure